this is not a spring chicken. If you've been wondering about what you eat and where it's coming from, yeah, you've heard about all those FDA recalls and what was it, a problem with tomatoes or spinach or peppers or
cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts,
cantaloupe, whatever it is. Well, the
meat.
USDA is doing a few things about it. In fact, this is a new law that takes effect today. But here's the important part to know is the USDA won't begin fining laggers until spring, which means even though it starts today.
Fan club.
Even though it starts today, they won't start. This is the law that goes into effect today. They won't start fining laggers until spring. So you can start looking now, but I'm sure the labeling is probably not on there already. But I guess it might have to do with that tainted milk from China and all those other recalls. So here's what's in the law, what's not in the law. Okay, and forget about import bashing because, well, some things have it and some things don't when it comes to labeling. So this will give you an idea. Let's see. It's called the COOL label. Are you ready for that? It's the COOL law, C-O-O-L, which means, oh, where did that go? For country of origin labeling, COOL, C-O-O-L. Ah, sounds good, huh? So, but you can still be fooled by the COOL label because there are bunches of exceptions. For example, fresh strawberries but not chocolate-covered ones get a label. You see, so once the food's been processed, it doesn't label where it came from. Okay. Raw peanuts label. Roasted ones, no. Okay. Those popular pre-washed salad mixes, sometimes. So you see what I mean? So here's some common questions that you might have to help navigate and give you some ideas to what to expect. First of all, what does the new law require? It requires that retailers notify countries of the origin of, including the U.S., of raw beef, veal, lamb, pork, chicken, goat, wild and farm-raised fish, shellfish, fresh or frozen fruits, and vegetables, peanuts, pecans, macadamia nuts, and whole ginseng. What was it? You wonder how some of these got on there.
Well, because some of them are hazardous to some people's health.
Ah, like peanuts, because some people have peanut allergies.
And raw milk.
You'll see the labeling anywhere it fits. For example, the rubber band around the asparagus, the plastic wrap on the ground beef. So based on what you're getting, it's basically where it fits. Some foods already are labeled, like fresh from Florida for probably oranges, huh? Jersey grown, Vidalia onions. Some of them already have labels.
You know a lot. Okay, you know where most of the stuff comes from because it comes in boxes from those countries.
I know, and then they have a little tag that says it.
Yeah.
But there's the biggest exception is foods. The labels aren't for processed foods, meaning if the food's been processed, like the meat has been cooked, the peanuts have been roasted, you don't have any clue.
Yeah, but you have no idea whether it's been cooked properly or roasted properly. That's the problem with that one.
Yep. For example, raw pork chops are labeled, but not ham or bacon. Fresh or frozen peas get labeled, but not canned peas. Okay? Now, what if the foods are mixed together? Now, they're exempt too. So if you get trail mix, you have no idea. It doesn't say that they're where the peanuts came from and the raisins came from and all that stuff. So I guess the only time the labeling is going to show up is when it's the individual food that's unprocessed. And here's the other exception. I know it's full of exceptions.
It's full of exceptions.
Must all stores comply? So no, because if your meat and seafood sold in butcher shops and fish markets, you're exempt.
That's ridiculous.
Here, what if companies buy food from various places, beef from both U.S. and Mexican ranchers, for instance? And that's a bone of contention between the U.S. large U.S. meat producers.
Because they'll mix them in packs.
Tyson Fresh Meats, for instance. So what if companies buy food from various places, beef from both the U.S. and Mexican ranchers, for example? An example that they include in the article, and thank you for the LA Times, is Tyson Fresh Meats. So, for example, in a July letter to customers, Tyson said it would label all beef product of the U.S., Canada, or Mexico, because it's just cost prohibitive for them to separate all the beef that comes in and say, here's the Canadian beef. But although you would think
actually, the Canadian beef is different than American beef, though. We did a
That's
thing
true.
on that. Canadian beef is different. They have a
because
different
you would
set
think
of
they would
qualifications.
label it differently because
Go to Monty Bubble, our news video web on the net, and just type in Canadian beef on YouTube, and you'll find that the standards for Canadian beef are completely different than American standards.
In fact, if it was Canadian beef, I'd want to know that it was Canadian beef.
Yeah.
Because on here, like if it's U.S. beef or Mexico beef, and maybe it's just me, but you would think that all the cows, I know it sounds, all the cows that come in from Mexico, they come in through one plant. Of course, that one plant may be Mexican beef and American beef, I guess.
Yep.
But anyway, it's a little bit cost prohibitive on that. And aren't country labels on some processed food. Yes, tariff regulations have long required that a food put into consumer-ready packaging abroad be labeled as an import. That doesn't apply to bulk ingredients. Oh, so that means when you go to Whole Foods Market, right, or Mrs. Gooch's that have the bulk ingredients that you scoop out?
Yeah. Yeah, or, you know.
So basically, as a consumer, you're like, what difference does it make them? Because basically, you go buy the food and either it tells you or it doesn't tell you where it's labeled. But I would say that if your diet is such that it's critical for you to know where it originated from, then, well, you don't get the food unless you know where it came from. Or, if it's processed and it doesn't make a difference to you, then don't worry about it. Because otherwise, I mean...
But did it say anything about, like, fresh fruit?
Well, it just says the fresh fruit has to be labeled.
Yeah.
The country of origin.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So what do you think about this? Do you think it affects the consumer much?
No, they don't care where they're coming from as long as the price is right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess it's for our best interest, but for most of us, it probably won't make much of a difference. And if your food's labeled when you buy it, it is. And, well,
But it's all labeled when it comes into the store, though, no matter what.
I guess part of it is just be healthy, so maybe it won't make much of a difference. and if you're concerned, for example, if you're concerned about, so I guess part of it is if you are concerned about specific ingredients, like if you have peanuts and you have peanut allergies, I'm sure you already know well enough to stay away from anything that has peanuts in it. But you may also want to stay from other nuts that are done in the same plants as peanuts.
Yeah,
That might be safe.
like if you go to a 99-cent store or any places like that sell vegetables and canned stuff from other countries, you should really check the labels anyway.
Yeah, so regardless of what it is, just check the labels because, well, I guess it's just the best way to do it because for your consumers, if you're concerned about what you're eating, you're probably already checking the labels, whether it's for proteins, carbohydrates. It's just one other thing to add to that label, country of origin. So I guess it pays. Listen to the news and watch your health. So for now, this is Notaspringchick on labeling food.